Imagining creates reality. Man is all imagination. God is man and exists in us and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination that is God Himself. The purpose of this first portion of this book is to show how actual true stories, how imagining creates reality. Science progresses by way of hypothesis, tentatively tested and afterwards accepted or rejected according to the facts of experience. The claim that imagining creates reality needs no more consideration than is allowed by science. It proves itself in performance. The world in which we live is a world of imagination. In fact, life itself is an activity of imagining for play, wrote Professor Morrison of the University of St. Andrews. The world originates in a divine activity identical with what we know ourselves as the activity of imagination. His task being to open the immortal eyes of man inward into the worlds of thought, into eternity, ever expanding in the bosom of God, the human imagination. Nothing appears as continuous in being by a power of its own. Events happen because comparatively stable imaginal activities created them, and they continue in being only as long as they receive such support. The secret of imagining, writes Douglas, is the greatest of all problems to the solution of which the mystic aspires. Supreme power, supreme wisdom, supreme delight lie in the far off solution of this mystery. When a man solves the mystery of imagining, he will have discovered the secret of causation, and that is, imagining creates reality. Therefore, the man who is aware of what he is imagining knows what he is creating, realizes more and more that the drama of life is imaginal, not physical. All activity is at bottom imaginal. An awakened imagination works with a purpose. It creates and conserves the desirable and transforms or destroys the undesirable. Divine imagining and human imagining are not two powers at all, rather one. The valid distinction which exists between the seeming two lies not in the substance with which they operate, but in the degree of intensity of the operant power itself. Acting at high tension, an imaginal act is an immediate objective fact. Keyed low, an imaginal act is realized in a time process. But whether imagination is keyed high or low, it's the ultimate essential non objective reality from which objects are poured forth like sudden fancies. No object is independent of imagining on some level or levels. Everything in the world owes its character to imagination on one of its various levels. Objective reality is solely produced through imagination. Objects seem so independent of our perception of them that we incline to forget that they owe their origin to imagination. The world in which we live is a world of imagination, and man, through his imaginal activities, creates the realities and the circumstances of life. This does either knowingly or unknowingly. Men pay too little attention to this priceless gift, the human imagination, and a gift is practically non existent unless there is a conscious possession of it and a readiness to use it. All men possesses the power to create reality, but this power sleeps as though dead when not consciously exercised. Men live in the very heart of creation, the human imagination, yet are no wiser for what takes place therein. The future will not be fundamentally different from the imaginal activities of man. Therefore, the individual who can summon at will whatever imaginal activity he pleases and to whom the vision of his imagination are as real as the forms of nature is the master of his fate. The future is the imaginal activity of man in his creative march. Imagining is the creative power not only of the poet, the artist, the actor, and creator, but of the scientist, the inventor, the merchant, and the artisan. Its abuse in unrestrained, unlowly image making is obvious, but its abuse in undue repression breeds a sterility which robs man of actual wealth of experience. Imagining novel solutions to ever complex problems, order. Imaginative men and women invariably unsettle a pre existing peace of mind. Do not know, do not bow before the dictate of facts and accept life as the basis of the world. Without, assert the supremacy of your imaginal acts over facts and pull all the things in subjection to them. Hold fast to your ideal in your imagination. Nothing can take it from you but your failure to persist in imagining the ideal realized. Imagine only such states that are of value or promise well. To attempt to change circumstances before you change your imaginal activity is to struggle against the very nature of things. There can be no outer change until there is first an imaginal change. Everything you do unaccompanied by an imaginal change is but futile readjustments of surfaces. Imagining the wish fulfilled brings about a union with that state, and during that union, you behave in keeping with your imaginal change. This shows you that an imaginal change will result in a change of behavior. However, you or your ordinary imaginal alterations as you pass from your one state to another are not transformations because each one of them is so rapidly succeeded by another in the reverse direction. But whenever one state grows so stable as to become your constant mood, your habitual attitude, then that habitual state defines your character and is a true transformation. How do you do it? Self abandonment. That is the secret. You must abandon yourself mentally to your wish fulfilled in your love for that state. And in so doing, live in the new state and no more in the old state. You cannot commit yourself to what you do not love, so the secret of self commission is faith plus love. Faith is believing what is unbelievable. Commit yourself to the feeling of the wish fulfilled in faith that this act of self commission will become a reality, and it must become a reality because imagining creates reality. Imagination is both conservative and transformative. It is conservative when it builds its world from images supplied by memory and the evidence of the senses. It is creatively transformative when it imagines things as they ought to be, building its word out of the generous dreams of fancy in the procession of images. The ones that takes precedence naturally are those of the senses. Nevertheless, a present sense impression is only an image. It does not differ in nature from a memory image or the image of a wish. What makes a present sense impression so objectively real is the individual's imagination functioning it and thinking whether it's a memory or a wish of the individual. If you would enter into the image in your imagination, then would you know what it is to be creatively transformative? Then would you realize your wish, and then you would be happy. Every image can be embodied, but unless you yourself enter the image and think from it, it is incapable of birth. Therefore, it is the height of folly to expect the wish to be realized by the mere passage of time. That which requires imaginative occupancy to produce its effect obviously cannot be effected without such occupancy. You cannot be in one image and not suffer the consequences of not being in another. Imagination is spiritual sensation. Enter the image of the wish, fulfill, then give it sensory vividness and tones of reality by mentally acting as you would act where it was where it is a physical fact. Now, this is what I mean by spiritual sensation. Imagine that you're holding a rose in your hand, smell it. Do you detect the odor of the roses? Well, if the rose is not there, why is its fragrance in the air? Through spiritual sensation, that's it. Through imaginal sight, sound, sense, scent, taste, and touch, you can give to the image sensory vividness. If you do this, all things will conspire to aid your harvesting, and upon reflection, you will see how subtle were the threads that led you to the goal. You could never have devised the means which your imaginal activity employed to fulfill itself. If you long to escape from your present sense fixation to transform your present life into a dream of what might well be, you need but imagine that you are already what you want to be and you feel the way you want to expect to feel under such circumstances, like the make believe of a child who is remaking the world after its own heart. Create your world out of your pure dreams of fancy. Mentally enter into your dream. Mentally do what you would actually do, were it physically true. You will discover that dreams are realized not by the rich, by the imagination. Nothing stands between you and fulfillment of your dreams but facts, and facts are the creations of imagining. If you change your imagining, you will change the facts. So, this is for today, Masters. It's a very, very beautiful uh, book, The Law and the Promise. He has explained, about imagination, reality, creativity, what all we can actually create. Patriji always says we are God, right? And we are the creators. So we have that ability. So it's very wonderful, wisdom that we all have to comprehend and inculcate in our lives. This reminds me of, the book Untold Story of Sita as well, about the epic Ramayana, right? We all know Goddess Sita was in Lanka, and in this book also, it's very nicely explained how Goddess Sita she enters Ravan's dreams, and she will have a cold war between, mental war between Ravan, and there will be a mental war between Ravan and Sita, and physical war between Lord Ram and Ravan, right? So it's very well explained in this book that how Sita was able to enter by imagination. She was able to enter Ravan's dreams and create havoc in his mind. And, you know, uh, that was the step taken to uh, taken for victory, right? So yeah, this is the message, and it's really powerful to really implement in our lives. It's very nice. So, any thoughts anyone has got to share? Please go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you. Thank you, Indraji. Thank you, Sandeep ji, Nandini ji, Rashmi ji. Yes, Ram ji. Yes, Madhu ji.
So thanks a lot, Priyaji. Very beautiful meditation and very, very interesting sharing as well. You know, the spiritual community acknowledging the manifestation. So yesterday we were in Frankfurt, we had a meditation session there, and in the sharings, we had a participant speaking about how the younger generation speak about not working hard, but working smart. And now when science brings these power of imagination to manifestation, the whole humanity would as well start rephrasing that not overthinking, but thinking smart. Because everything that is out there is first created inside through one's own thinking, through one's own imagination. So having known this, we all will as well become very, very conscious and cautious about our thought patterns. If we are thinking and imagining about what will happen and expanding the situations, thinking worst, we also understand now that through that imagination, we would be manifesting the same. So the first thing is about becoming aware of our thoughts and making sure that our thoughts are truly focused on things that we truly want to experience. And this will also drive us into not thinking about the past in a way where it was not pleasant. Our human way of thinking always drives us to the past or future, many times not in a way that those experiences we would love to experience, right? So revisiting things that are not harmonious. So when we understand this science of manifestation through imagination, we will as well learn that what is wise thinking, what is smart thinking, how our thoughts should be utilized. It is the very first step of our own manifestation, our own experience in life. Everything that we put out there, everything that we experience out there is always starting with our own thoughts. It's very, very important lesson. Very important that we as well look into this. We have to look into our own life. Then our power of imagination is immediately in front of us. If we look into our life sincerely, we will notice that how our own thinking had created so many things in our life. So thanks for the reminder. It's a great way to keep on reminding ourselves. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ramji. Thanks for adding wonderful wisdom from your end, and as always, and supporting these, wisdom sessions. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for everybody. I can see the comments. Thanks a lot. Uh, Anyone else would like to share your thoughts? Nothing. We are good to close this session. Thank you all for joining. Have a great day and week ahead. Let's connect in the evening session. Yeah. Thank you.